persevering, more resilient. And that's one of the themes of this whole conference, right, is resilience. We're living in a tough time. And we can either cower away and become, and get small in the midst of that, or hold on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rope and become resilient. So the one thing that I think is really important, and I've noticed this and I've talked to my teachers about this, is how are we when things get good? We're here to talk about hardship, but actually we have to look oftentimes, how are we when things get good and easy? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about a group in the Quran, they're called al-farihin. Al-farihin. And the farihin, it's close to the word farah, which means like happiness. But farihin is not just people that are happy, it's something else. It's a type of excessive mirthfulness. They're like giggly, like with happiness. They're so happy, right? That they almost like can't contain it, right? Because of something that they got of the dunya. So just imagine in your life, like hardship, 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 you know? I have no money, bam, money, financial security, right? For example. As an example, you get that and you feel something happen internally in your nafs, in your soul. It's type of like happiness and expansion, all this stuff, right? And in that moment, what are we actually supposed to do? What is our teaching from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He says, when something good happens to you, or something of ease comes to you, praise Allah. So in that moment, it's really difficult to do, to be honest. It's more difficult to do it in ease than in hardship. When you're in ease, to in that moment, not be with the thing, not be with the money, not be with the blessing, but to be with Allah, alhamdulillah. And balance yourself, and not let it get too much. I'm going to say, in my life, I can think of countless examples where I was where something happened and I was at a high. I was feeling really good about everything. And almost always, whenever I let that become too much, it always leads to a huge fall. Either because it's just the natural waves of life, that you're high, you're going to come back down. Or because oftentimes when we get drunk with the ease and the blessing, we actually fall into sin. We get complacent. We forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we become people that are attached to things. So this is my first reflection. One of the most important things is when things are easy, when things are good, if we're turning to Allah, we're praising Allah, and we're not letting the happiness get us to become mirthful, that's a good sign of how we're going to be when things do get difficult. We're not going to despair. We're not going to get too low. We didn't get too high, and we're not going to get too low. This is one of the first lessons that the Prophet Muhammad taught us. Never too high, never too low. Right? Always turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all circumstances. Does that make sense? Do you have any reflections on this?
Yeah, they say like the Sahaba that took refuge from, like they didn't fear the hardships, they feared the, like wealth, and that's what they were scared of.
Yeah.
Like hadith, like that's what he worries. Or like there's also a hadith like, I'm worried about you worshiping idols, but worried about that.
The dunya people would like to. Yeah. Very good. So like the Prophet said that he didn't, that's exactly, he's like, I'm not worried about you guys doing shirk, right? And he's like, I'm not even mainly worried about the tests that are going to come to you. He's mainly worried in various narrations. One is that the dunya will open up to you and you'll begin to love it. In other narrations, it mentions that you will give it, that he worries that we'll give it to our desires. And that we will have long hopes for our life. Meaning we will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to live 70, 80 years. I'll go to Hajj when I'm 50 after I've committed all my sins. Tul al-amal, right? These are the things that the Prophet told us to be careful of. And the companions, as a result, is a really beautiful reflection. They used to say, when we were we used to like being in difficulty because we knew the ease was coming. We knew the opening was coming. But when we were in ease, we were so careful. We were so careful because we knew that there was a test coming right around the corner. So it's like, imagine, like, if you knew, like, so you have a blessing, but you know right around the corner there's someone who's gonna, like, attack you or something. Would you be like dancing and happy and all this stuff with the current, like right around the corner there's someone coming to test you with something, potentially to hurt you, right? So in your ease, you can either be like, yay, or you can be like, okay, this is an opportunity now to take provision, take strength for the next test. And it's a mentality. And so now when tests come to a Muslim, they're like, yeah, I know this is going to happen. I'm not surprised. I'm not questioning God, why? The reason people question God, why, is because they think that they deserve the ease. They think that should be the basis and that should be the defaults, right? But we don't decide if it's the defaults. Allah decides what's the defaults. We don't decide the test, Allah decides the test. So we need to just have that mindset, right? And when that happens, there's a freedom that occurs. There's a freedom that occurs. You begin to become somewhat indestructible as a person. That even when times are difficult and hard, I'm good. I'm with Allah. As long as I don't sin, I'm good. Right? And so this is one of the first things I wanted to mention. Never too high, never too low. Right? We shouldn't just focus on the difficulty. We have to look at how we are in the ease. The next lesson that's really important in terms of giving us perseverance, and we see this in the people specifically of many of the people in Gaza. If you guys saw recently the story, we know Khalid Abhan, I don't know if you guys know of this person. He's famous for a video. It's very difficult to watch. Sometimes I show it, but I'm not going to show it because it's very difficult to watch. Where his 3-year-old granddaughter has been killed in Gaza. And look, he's holding her as they're wrapping up another child. There's a little kid there, they're wrapping up the child. And he's holding her, and she's dead. She has blood on her and stuff like that. And he's hugging her and in the most beautiful way and kissing her eyes, right? Opening up her eyes and looking at them and kissing them and then just hugging her and embracing her. And then he says, Ruh Ruh, right? The soul of my soul. She's the soul of my soul. Right? SubhanAllah. And it touched the hearts of everyone around the world. Touched the hearts of everyone around the world. People, I saw comments of people like Christians from Texas that were like, I don't believe in Islam, but like this is beautiful. Like what a beautiful human being. And he used to go around after that and he would feed the cats in the street. And you see like videos of him feeding cats in the street, and it's just rubble, right? And he's just going like this, like a can of cat food, and all the cats know who it is because he does it regularly. It's all running to him. It reminds me of the Prophet ﷺ that even if the day of judgment is brought, the trumpet is blown, and you have a seed in your hand, to plant the seed. Even if you're in Gaza and there's rubble and everything around, there's still goodness to be done. There's still goodness to be done. Even if those cats run back and a bomb comes and kills all the cats, he still did that good. He had that moment with them and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what's one of the lessons these people hold on to? People like Khalid Abhan who recently passed away. They recently not passed away, they killed him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him the shuhada of people in the highest levels of Jannah, reward him with close company to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have internalized in Gaza and other places in the Ummah the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam grabbed Abdullah bin Umar by the shoulders and he said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib." Be in this world as though you are a stranger. And this is a great time to reflect on this hadith, because most of you are strangers to this land, right? The Phoenix area, not you, not America, But Phoenix, it's a strange area to you. You don't live here, right? The terrain is different. The roads are different. Maybe it smells different. The air feels different. The temperature is different, right? If you go to other lands, the language is different. The food's different, right? Even for me, coming from Tempe to North Phoenix, that's another reality. So it's a strange place. And when you're a stranger and everything's kind of odd, what are you longing for? You're longing to go back home, to be with that which is comfortable and that which is easy. And the Prophet's telling us to think about this whole world in a symbol. This whole world is a strange place. This whole world is not my home. The things here are different than my true home. And my true home is Al-Jannah, the garden. So be in this world as though you're a stranger. I'm not here to settle, I'm not here to get attached to anything. I'm here to get something and go back to my home, to get back home, right? That's why I'm here. So this is the first thing the Prophet said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib aw 'abiru sabil," or you're just a traveler passing through. Be in this world like you're a traveler passing through. I love this hadith because when you travel, right, say you're traveling on foot, and you have a long distance to go. We all know that you want to travel light. You want to have 100 pounds on your back. You might be able to get a mile or two, but it's going to be difficult for 100 miles, 200 miles, right? Go light. And I like to connect this to the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's a long hadith, but bear with me and keep it connected to this idea. The Prophet said there's a man on the Day of Judgment that will be brought out in front of the people. And 99 scrolls of bad deeds will be rolled out for this person. 99 scrolls of bad deeds. Each scroll is as far as your eye can see. Okay? And then Allah will say to him, do you reject any of these deeds that you did? Do you have any discrepancy with this? He says no. Allah asks him, did the angels make a mistake in their recording? He says no. Allah asks him, do you have an excuse, at least, for why you did all of these things? The man will say, no. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to him, however, there is a good deed that you did, and you will not be wrong today. There will be no injustice today. And so a small piece of paper is brought out. And upon that small piece of paper, what is written upon it? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Right? I bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship other than Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger. And Allah says to the angels, bring out the scales to weigh this. And the man says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, what is this small piece of paper going to do in light of the 99 scrolls? Like, why even weigh it? I'm going to hell. Like, that's basically what he's saying. I'm going to hell. Like, what? It's obvious. And Allah just says, you will not be wrong today. No one will be wrong today. And they weigh it, and the small piece of paper outweighs the 99 scrolls. Right? This is not to say that sins aren't bad. This is to say this is the value of Iman. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That's the weight of it. That's how heavy it is. That's how important it is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I like to think of it as, in this life, what do I need? I need this small little piece of paper. And it says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And I can carry it with me wherever I go. And even if I have nothing else, no other provision, so long as I have this, I'll make it to my destination. Right? So this is one of the first lessons. This place is a rest stop. Yaqeen, with certainty. It's a rest stop. Abdullah bin Umar, he from the Prophet ﷺ. And he was very nice to explain to us how he applies it in his life. So he said, when you reach the night, right? إِذَا أَمْسَيْتَ فَلَا تَنْتَظِرِ الصَّبَاحِ. When you reach the night, don't expect to make it to the morning. And when you wake up in the morning, don't expect it to make it to the night. Right? That's how he applied it. Death is so close, and after death is the true life. This place is just a momentary thing. And he said, take from your health for your sickness. When you're healthy, when you have the ease, what's he saying? Prepare for the moments of difficulty, the moments of sickness. Invest in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now. You know, the Prophet said, get to know Allah in easy times. Allah will know you in the hard times. Ta'arraf ila Allahi fi ar-rakha ya'rifka fi shidda. You know? And take from your life for your death. But when we recognize how minuscule this life is, we realize, subhanAllah, that we can persevere through anything. Persevere through anything. I did math with, I like doing math. So I said, what's the average, let's say 70 is the average lifespan of a human being. And does anyone know how long the Day of Judgment is? How long is the Day of Judgment? It's mentioned in the Quran. 50,000 sana. It's what? 50,000 years long. Some experience it as shorter, right? But for many, it's going to be like 50,000 years. If you do the math, let's just say you're going to live 70 years, inshallah. You live longer. May Allah give us all long lives filled with good actions. Say Ameen. But if you do the math, 70 divided by 50,000, what does it come out to? Point 0.14%. No, even less. 0.014%. 0.014%. That's just the Day of Judgment. And then after Day of Judgment is what? Eternity. So once you put 70 over eternity, it's just zero. This world is nothing, right? So it's a momentary thing. It's a momentary thing. This is the first thing. It's a rest stop.
and it's meant to be a place of testing, and it's our gateway. It's amazing. Allah said, just be good for like a second, and you're there. When they're asked on the Day of Judgment, when we're asked on the Day of Judgment, right? كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ. Allah will ask the people, how long were you in the earth? How many years? قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. We'll all say, we were there for one day or part of a day. فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِّينَ. So ask the people who count. That's how it's going to feel. They're not lying. They're not, it's not like they don't know. Like, they're compared to what they experienced, they're like, this is like a day. Just pass by. So if in reality Allah comes to you and He says, yeah, man, obey me for a day. Obey me for one day. Pray your 5 prayers on this one day. And if it's a day of fasting in Ramadan, fast the day of Ramadan. If you have zakat to pay the zakat. Whatever you, just be good for one day. And I give you eternity. I give you eternity in Jannah. Wouldn't you say that's a sweet deal? That's what He did. One day in 70 years on the grand scale is all the same. We're not here for that long. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us beautiful lives, beautiful endings for us, for our families, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our great-grandchildren that we never meet until the end of time. May Allah make all of them the people of Jannah, people of La ilaha illallah. So lesson number 2 is that dunya is a rest stop. Lesson number 3 that we take from them is that the martyrdom that we see people in Gaza, right? Subhanallah. You say, wow, like some people, they died with buildings collapsing on them, right? And like I thought about it, I remember other people think, man, like, how painful that must be. And then you read the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said that the martyr does not feel the pain of being killed, except as one of you feels the pinch of an insect bite. And this is an indication that this life, you know, subhanallah, it has no real value. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all this pain that we think people are going through, actually, no, Allah is so merciful that even if a building collapses on them, they just feel it like a little bite. And they wake up and they're in the next life, right? Living the life of martyrs. They're already in Jannah, as mentioned by the scholars, and they fly around. Allah mentions in the Quran. They fly around. Their souls go into the bodies of little green birds. And they fly around, and they perch upon the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they get to see Jannah. Imagine the joy, like farihin. They're so happy, Allah says, bima atahum Allah min fadli. They're happy with what Allah gave them. Imagine flying around Jannah and seeing it all and being like, I'm going to get this. With knowledge, certainty, I'm going to get all this. You get to just fly around and see it and go and perch on the trees and see the rivers and everything like that. See the great reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are amazing things, subhanAllah, that we can learn from these people. The next lesson is that even if you look at your life and you say, man, I had a tough life. Right? Maybe loss of a parent, loss of a family member, maybe long times of loneliness, maybe poverty, like various, maybe time in weren't a Muslim, you know, maybe that's a reality, right? All these things, you said, I had such a tough life. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentions a hadith in Muslim. He says, I want you to imagine not just you with your difficulties. Imagine the person who had the most difficult life ever. The most miserable person on the face of the earth ever. Imagine that person. The Prophet says on the Day of Judgment, Allah will take this person and He will dip them. He will dip them in Jannah. Just for a moment. He will then bring them out and say, have you ever suffered anything in your life? And they'll say, no, by Allah, I've never suffered anything in my life. One moment in Jannah melts the pain of a lifetime of misery. One moment in Jannah melts the pain of a lifetime of misery. And we will remember what happened. We won't forget this life. We'll remember everything, but there'll be no pain with it. No sadness with it. It'll just be what? Joy from then on. Right? So subhanAllah, like, we need to recognize that it's just a little bit of patience. This whole life is patience. The scholars say it's between gratitude and patience. Right? Gratitude and patience. And that brings us to the next hadith. And this is the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us, and this has so much wisdom and gem in it. So I've already alluded to it once. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and you heard this hadith, but listen again, listen with new ears, listen with an open heart, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. He says, amazing. How amazing is the situation of the believer? Like, first of all, I don't just forget, I'm not gonna, before I say anything else, Prophet's saying, how amazing is my situation? I'm a believer. We're all believers. Prophet's saying, how amazing is the situation of the believer? That's enough just to make you feel, subhanAllah, like, oh, I feel the blessing of Islam. The Prophet of Allah, the greatest of creation, is saying, how amazing you have it. You have it great. You have an amazing situation that other people don't have. May Allah guide them. He then says, to explain the situation, if ease comes to them, if ease comes to him, he's grateful. He's grateful. And that is good for him. The believer knows, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Whatever blessing you have is from Allah. You know, we don't say anything except Alhamdulillah. I don't say Alhamdulillah coffee. You know, praise be to the coffee. You know, praise be to the computer. Praise be to my wife when she cooks me a nice meal. I thank her, I thank you, but I say praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when I eat the food, I don't believe, as a function of our belief, I don't believe that the food has any power in and of itself to give me. Rather, when I eat it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me that power, gives me that nourishment, gives me that strength. When I drink water and I feel it coursing through my veins and the hydration, that is Allah doing that for me. When I'm sick, even if I take the medicine that the doctor gives me, I know it's not the medicine that cures me, but it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that cures me through the medicine. Whenever ease comes to you, he's grateful. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is good for them. Right? And there's so much to be grateful for. Wallahi, there's so much to be grateful for. Even though I said earlier, most of this life is what? Tests. Most of this life is difficulty.
There's beauty everywhere. And this conference is a sign of it. Wallahi, this conference is one of the most beautiful things I've seen this year. It's beautiful, beautiful. May Allah reward the organizers, reward the attendees, reward everyone. And I'm grateful that it's here in Phoenix. I feel like there's so much blessing that is coming to the Phoenix Valley as a result of this conference. It's amazing. What a blessing to have this. You see kids running around, you see young people talking, laughing, having a good time. I just passed by someone and they were like talking about Mufti Make and how much they love him. Like, this is so wholesome. Like, it's beautiful. Like, it's just like 16-year-olds just talking about how they love scholars and Islam and, you know, eating good food and enjoying time together. Talks and stuff. This is a huge, massive blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to thank Allah for this conference. Wallahi, we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this. This is Allah's doing. Allah did this. The organizers were the vessel. Allah was the one who did this. And He brought us here to be in this room and to be reminded of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a blessing. So when ease comes to the believer, they're grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if difficulty afflicts him or her, they persevere. They're patient. They know this test has a certain amount of time, and the time will expire, and after that will be ease. They persevere, and that is good for him or her. And then the Prophet says, and this is the kicker, this is the thing that we have to pay attention to most. He says, this does not happen for anyone except for the person who has Iman, who not only believes, but knows that Allah is real, knows that Allah exists, knows that Allah is giving them every blessing, and knows that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam is the greatest of creation and the best teacher and the one who has the most concern for us of all of creation. Like, no one loves you from the creation more than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because what is that heart? His heart is more vast than everyone else's heart. You read the seerah and the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his shama'il. This is a heart that even if 0.014% of it is love for you, then that's a huge portion. That love that he has for you is greater than your mother's love for you. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. He's given us the best of teachers who used to stand up late in the night and do what? Pray to Allah, not for himself, but for us. Ummati, ummati, my nation, my nation. To the extent that his feet would swell. Meaning he would go to discomfort for us. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's the love between our teacher and us. The one who guided us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I need to stop working. There's no, it's okay.
We can hear you.
But that's the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for us. Right? So this hadith is really important. What does it tell me? What do I take away from this hadith? If I want to have this situation more and more and more in my life, I need to invest in my iman. I need to invest in the knowledge of my iman. I need to know Allah exists. Not hope Allah exists. I need to know. Not like the Prophet, oh he's nice. No, but to know he's the messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's nice. And he's beautiful. And he has the best way of life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when we have that, wallahi, we are indestructible. When this mentality is there, when the iman is strong, no one can touch the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But what is it that happens? We have other loves that come in and try to compete with our love of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's the greatest tribulation. Not loss of life, not loss of property, not loss of wealth, none of that. The greatest tribulation is a tribulation in our iman. That's why we make the dua, وَلَا تَجْعَلْ مُصِيبَتَنَا فِي دِينِنَا. Ya Allah, don't make our test in our deen. Don't make our test in our deen. Let our test be something else. Let it be in our dunya. Because that's not valuable. But this deen is everything. It encapsulates my connection to Allah. It encapsulates my purpose in life. So these are lessons that we can take and tools that we can use to remind ourselves in the midst of difficulty to be patient. Number one, never get too high, never get too low. Always be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, the dunya is a rest stop. It's a temporary place that we're not going to exist in forever. Number three, the next life will erase and melt. Will erase and melt all the pain of this life. All the pain of this life. And next, that the situation of the believer is amazing when he has that true knowledge of Allah and His Messenger, what we call iman. If we can take these, inshallah, we'll be very, very successful. And I'll end with, how much time do we have left? 15? We have, okay, no, 15 minutes is great. I thought I had like 5. So, I want to end with, there's the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu early on in his prophethood, he got revelation and then it stopped. The scholars, they talk about how long it stopped for. Some say a few months, some say up to a year, but Allah it stopped. He didn't receive revelation. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu started to get worried. I was worried, like, why? I was receiving revelation from Allah and it stopped. Did I do something wrong? Is Allah mad at me? Has Allah abandoned me? And it was really, really like concerning for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Allah reveals Surah Al-Duha, right? Surah Al-Duha that I mentioned earlier. He swears by the breaking of the dawn. He swears by the night. What does he say? مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and your Lord does not hate you. And I want to actually, Sheikh Mufti Abdul Rahman Wahid from Miftah Institute, he mentioned this beautiful reflection on مَا وَدَّعَكَ. It doesn't just mean Allah doesn't abandon you. Allah uses a very interesting word, which is, what da'a means if I were to take someone I love to the airport and bid them farewell, right? And when I do that, I'm not mad at them, right? I'm not mad at them. I love them. And I'm here because I love them, and I'm bidding them farewell, and I'm making dua for them. This is called wadda, to do this in a beautiful way, right? But I'm separated from them. They are leaving. What does Allah say in the Quran? Allah is saying, Allah never left you, even the leaving of two beloveds. I never left you, Allah said. I never left you. Let alone when I be mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Then Allah says, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ for you, O Muhammad, than the next life. Or than this life. Next life is better for you than this life. You zoom to the end of the Prophet's life, and he receives one of the last surahs of the Quran. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. When the victory of Allah comes and the opening comes. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. And you see the people entering into the deen of Allah in waves, in droves, in huge numbers. Muslims were small until the last couple of years ago. Huge numbers. When you see this, O Muhammad, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. Then glorify the praises of your Lord and seek forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. Indeed, he is oft turning towards his servants in forgiveness. When Jibreel reveals this to the Prophet, what does the Prophet say to Jibreel? He says, Ya Jibreel, Allah has just announced to me my death. He's just announced to me my death. The opening has happened. The Muslims are strong. Islam has become victorious in Arabia. My life's purpose has been fulfilled. I have conveyed my message, and Allah has fulfilled the message. Allah has announced to me my death. And what does Jibreel say to him? It comes full circle. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ. The next life is better for you than this life. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, being the person who was actually the most tested of any human being. Right? When he's at the end of his life, and he's been given this choice by Allah. Allah gives him a choice. Do you want to remain in this world? Allah actually gave him a choice. You can remain in this world. You can remain in this world forever and not die, and have the treasures of this world opened up to you. And after that, I'll give you Jannah as well. That was option one. Like, amazing option. Option two is what? Come be with me right now. To be with Allah, to go to Jannah. What did the Prophet decide? He chose the second. Because everything in this world, in comparison to Allah, is literally nothing. And the Prophet, his last words before he passed away, were not, oh, what a tough life I had, or, oh, wow, I'm victorious in Mecca and Arabia is Muslim. Those were not his last words, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His last words were, Allahumma rafiq al-a'la, Allahumma rafiq al-a'la, Allahumma rafiq al-a'la. Oh Allah, the highest companion. Oh Allah, give me the highest companion. Allah, give me the highest companion. To be with Allah. And when that becomes our North Star, that's our compass, is to be with Allah. For Allah to forgive us for all of our sins. That is our overwhelming preoccupation. Everything in this world of ease and difficulty will become what? All the same. My concern is not about dunya coming to me or dunya leaving me. My concern is Allah. So this, inshallah, is the test. I said that was my last thing, but I'll say one more. There's another surah that connects to this. It's connected to our topic today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Truly, with difficulty comes ease. إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Truly, difficulty comes ease. Then he says, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. He says, when you finished with your difficulty or your ease, when you finish with your test or your blessing, فَانْصَبْ. Then stand up. Stand up. وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَب. And direct your longing only to Allah. Don't direct your longing to the blessing or to the removal of the test. Direct your longing to blessing. This is the path of the believer, of the lover of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is this perspective. It's all over the world. Don't be with this world, be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you're in this world. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to take
how do we stay resilient? Just focus on Allah, or I guess what's your viewpoint on that? How do we keep resilient? How do we stay humble?
Really good question. So, Iman, right, is multiple things. The Prophet said it's actually 60-something or 70-something branches. The highest of it is to say, La ilaha illallah. And the lowest of it is to remove something harmful from the road. You see like a branch in the road, you remove it, he said that's Iman. Right? So, the whole, like, it's a lot of things that you can do. He also said that being modest is an aspect of Iman. Right? So engaging in Iman in works that are either directly informing your knowledge of God, that you have certainty that God exists and that Muhammad is his messenger, or the actions that increase it. Right? So when you find things that Allah gave us the prayer. Right? The prayer is the best way to become resilient. Why? Because the prayer connects you to God in a way that nothing else does. So it's almost like literally you're holding on to a rope that will never break. When you pray, you're holding on to a rope that will never break. And that rope connects you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when anything comes to you, you just hold on. Right? You hold on. That's step number one. And number two, you become resilient as well by recognizing that Allah brought this test into my life to give me something. It's my challenge to see if I'm going to get it. Every test has a nugget. Every test has a nugget of wisdom that I can take. So changing our mindset of tests and recognizing this is actually good. It's actually good if I can approach it in the right way. And that can be difficult, you know. The people in the test, it's very difficult for them to be told or to believe. I mean, a lot of them do. But to believe the death of my father is good. Like, it's hard to think that, right? But if you do think that, and you do hold on to that, you'll find some type of nugget of wisdom. So those are some perspective things. But if you're looking for actions, things to build your resilience and your actions, is going to be doing lots of dhikr, lots of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to start small, to build, and to be consistent, to build. This builds our capacity. Why? Because now it's not just 5 prayers. Because some people, they pray 5 prayers, but in the middle they're just acting a fool, right? And then it's like, as if they forgot about the prayer so quickly, right? So the dhikr is something that can kind of get you between the 2 prayers to what? Stay with Allah. To be with Allah. So doing lots of dhikr is important. And then lastly, being in community. Being in community. And having those friends that you can talk to about challenges that you're going through. Right? Even if it's just to, not even to get help, just to be like, yo, I'm just kind of dealing with this. And for them to kind of reassure you. Be patient. Allah is going to give you something. So having those people in your life is absolutely important. But yeah, that's what I would say. And if there's anyone else that would like to add, because you can bring benefit to all of us, please feel free. Those are the things. Yeah. Anything that comes to your mind?
Well, so I was always told when you're probably be humble, you know, and whenever, given my family's not Muslim,
Yeah.
or at least my parents are Muslim, they always taught me to pray for resilience or pray for them to come out versus being blessed and given, you know, one.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I've always been brought up. So hearing that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask Allah for what you want. Now there's a caveat to that. Every time one of the companions asked the Prophet for patience. Patience doesn't deserve right? He said, don't ask for patience because you're asking for it. You want to know? What are you asking for? You're asking for sex. To be patient with. He said, don't do that. Walakin sallallahu al-afiyah. Ask Allah for well-being. Right? But it's good to ask if you're in the midst of a test. Right? Say you're in the midst of the test. Say, Wallah, ya Allah, make me strong. Make me resilient. Right? In the midst of that. But we shouldn't ask for patience right? We shouldn't ask for patience right? We can ask for the strength that if something comes along, maybe we can overcome it. That's good, because that's the oneness of
trying to get through it, I'm being patient, but you're not a happy camper, right? You're not like trusting in Allah's plan. You're kind of like, I'm just going to just hold on, you know, but I have a lot of resentment and bitterness inside of my heart, right? So that's pretty low, right? If that even qualifies as patience. The level above that obviously is to what? Is to be patient and to know that, okay, like Allah's going to take care of me, right? I trust in Allah's plan. Now that person might still look at the difficulty as like a bad thing, right? But they're like, Allah's going to get me through the bad thing, right? And I'm going to make it. They're not necessarily looking for the wisdom, but they know it's going to end. That's like a level, right? I'm not thinking about growing through this, but I want to get past it, and I know Allah's going to help me get past it. That's another level. A level beyond that is to have everything this person had, but you're like, no, Allah's going to give me something through this. Something good is going to come out of it. And the highest level, which is the level of the awliya, and I feel like I can't even talk about it because you shouldn't talk about things you don't experience, right? But you read it in the books, right? Don't think that I don't know what this is. It's when you view the good things and the bad things as equal. Like you're like, I don't even care. Like one of the ulama of Syria, Shaykh Abd al-Rahman al-Shaghuri, he used to say, "Kufuf al-habibi mahlaha." He says, when my beloved slaps me around, it's so sweet. How sweet it is. What's he referring to? His beloved is Allah. When Allah tests me and he slaps me around, he finds it sweet. Because it's from my beloved. I know it's good, whatever. It's just because it's from Allah, he's happy. Right? This is a high level, right? It's a very high level. And you have to go through each level before to get to a level like that. And we only know this of our teachers or the teachers of our teachers and the awliya. But again, I don't know what that's like. I still prefer ease, and I ask Allah for ease. And I made an organization in Phoenix called Afia, which means well-being and ease, right? Because that's really what I want. Ya Allah, please make it easy for me here, and enter me into Jannah. And that's what I ask for. And He gives me tasdil, but less than others. So I hope that helps, inshallah ta'ala. I guess you can give each of those names, but I don't have any names for them. I hope this has been beneficial for everyone. And there's different ways to talk about this topic. You can go at it from a more intellectual perspective or a more heart perspective. I chose today to focus more on our hearts, where we are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, that's a benefit. And if there's any last questions, we could take them, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll hang around after as well. Are there any last questions on this topic? If I can say one last thing, inshallah, I'm here on behalf of Why Islam is True, which is an organization that focuses on helping Muslims and non-Muslims see the truth of Islam for themselves. And we have a booth in the bazaar, and we have, the main thing that I'm here really for is for the youth, meaning 11th graders, 12th graders, and university students, specifically. If that applies to you, 11th grade, 12th grade, university student, or you know someone like that, send them to my booth because I have a course. We have a course that we teach. And the course normally has a cost, but we waive the cost for this group. It normally costs $400. It's like a pretty professionally done course. Lots of work has gone into it, lots of curriculum development. But we want to give it to these students because they are the ones who are dealing with these questions the most. And so we want to give it to them for free. So please send them. It's free. It's literally free. There's no catch at all. And then we have some other resources for parents. So we have a parent toolkit, how to have conversations with your kids about Islam, about God and how do we know God exists and the Prophet and stuff like that, but age appropriate. So you have one that's from 7 to 10 years old, one that's 11 to 14 years old. We have that resource where you can purchase it, inshallah, and it'll be shipped out to you. So if you come to our booth, inshallah, Why Islam is True. And we have some free materials we can give you as well. And we're selling textbooks as well. So there's a Why Islam is True textbook. You can purchase it. It's normally cost $97. It's $49 during this convention, inshallah. So please come by, tell your kids to come. Don't invite them. Just go, And someone came today, this morning. He came to a talk yesterday and brought his kid. And he was happy. The kid was happy. He wasn't dragging his feet. and they signed up for the course. So please come, it's a free resource. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, reward the organizers. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله. تفضلي. Sister, close out or inshallah. Huh? Oh, the mic, yeah. I have a tough time letting go of the mic.
So before we close, I would like to thank everyone for joining this session and directing your attention to Ustad Yemen. Thank you, Ustad Yemen, for providing us with the knowledge to maintain our faith through hardship. Just a little summary of what we learned. We learned that we should remember to praise and thank Allah in times of ease and walk through life like a traveler in dunya, with Jannah as our goal destination. We also learned about the weight of Iman and the dunya's purpose in testing us. And we ended with a brief review of the revelation of Surat al-Duha and Nasr and Ashab. Inshallah, we can emerge from this session with wisdom to endure hardship and become stronger, wiser, and more spiritually connected. And with that, I will close the session with our dua and al-asr. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وأسر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Inshallah, Ustad Yemen does have another session later today, so if you guys would like to join, definitely check out the schedule.
Where is that?
I could show you after. Oh wait, let me.
That's the day notes.
Oh yes, I will look for that.
Is that 2 o'clock?
It's at 2:15 in Highland 1.
Oh, okay, back at that.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please.
Test, check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, test. Check, test. Check. Check.
The title is about leadership rooted in the Quran and Sunnah's principles. So I think I want to take one single story from the life of Sahaba, the one that trained by Prophet ﷺ. How can someone live an entirely lavish, wealthy, and good life in ignorant in Jahiliyyah? And then how, when this person was trained by Prophet ﷺ, he transformed that individual, not only becoming a leader, but he went to open up a new city that became the city of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I'm going to share briefly about Mus'ab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu, and he was just a 30 or 31 when he was martyred in the Battle of Uhud. So he came from a very wealthy family. His parents used to be in the Forbes list of the most richest in Mecca. He came from a very wealthy family, and he was known among the young as we can compare him to nowadays, like the influencers and the celebrities. He used to wear like we do have shirts and branded jeans and whatnot. His was not to be found in any store. Nowadays we are proud when we get the bag like Adidas, this and that. His outfit was not even available to be purchased. It will be custom tailored by a professional and specialist tailor from Yemen. And he also wore like shoes that is so branded, and people can notice his presence from miles away because he got this powerful and very sweet scent from his perfume. Then when he was there, he left, people know what's up here. And then if people are sitting there when he is coming, people already notice that he is coming. So he has a lot of social followings among the youth in Mecca. So one day he got the news that there is a movement that started by Prophet Muhammad SAW, and is running underground. So being a young man, curious, you can take two ways. Either you comfortable with what you have, you enjoy the fame, because he is so famous. If he had TikToks or Instagram, it's millions of followers. Whenever you go, people wants to selfie with him. Like that kind of life that most of the young wants to enjoy those kind of life. Until they get there and they will see that this is so miserable.